It's time for Football Friday, week number 14. And yes, I am back, and I'm back for the long haul. Tom Albano here, along with Nick DiMartino, Zain Bando, Nick Morgasen, and making his first appearance on Football Friday, Liam Barwick, Nick D's co-host on Moving the Goalpost. So, gentlemen, are we ready for the NFL action? It's December. We're in the heat of it now.
Absolutely.
Yes. Looking forward to the NFL season. Before we do that, obviously presented by Wolf Spreads. Are you looking to get involved in the action while rooting for your favorite team, even if it's the Jets and the Giants and you're suffering miserably? Have you ever had a friendly debate on who can pick more games correctly? Does all this talk about parlays, lines, and overs and unders make your head spin? You want to learn more about this sports betting hoopla? Gamble with us and check out Wolf Spreads. We're running a sports betting competition completely free on the Wolf Spreads app. Here's how it works. Everybody gets 2,000 fantasy dollars. That's fake money to bet on the NFL games with whoever can profit the most with their 2K bankroll wins. And if you're not an NFL fan, don't worry. Wolf Spreads has competitions available for the NBA, MLB, NHL, and college football and college basketball. Put fantasy dollars on the over and under, the money line, or the spreads, competing for bragging rights with your fellow players while having additional fun watching sports and not risk losing your house in the process. Wolf Spreads sports betting for friends who love the action. All right, here we go for week 14. Looking at some of the games this week, not very appetizing, but as we all know, we pick every single game regardless of how good or bad they actually are.
But
So
before we get started, can you run through the current standings really quick?
if I can find them.
I was gonna say it's December though, so we're, as much as it's cold outside, as I said before, we are in the heat of it. Playoff time is a coming, so we got a few playoff scenarios going down this week. We're actually recording in the middle of Thursday Night Football, where if the Patriots lose, it's over. Well, it's pretty much been over for them, but it's going to be officially over tonight.
All right, so here's the standings as we speak. Johnny Montalbano in the lead with 249 points. Tom Albano, 246. Nick DiMartino, 237. Zain Bando, 234. Myself, 231. Paul Lombardi, 230. And Ben Kruse in the anchor position at 228. So it's all neck and neck within 20 points. Separates last from first.
Johnny and I have been at each other's throats as of late.
Yeah, just like our terrible football teams. All right, let's get underway. First game, the Bucks at the Falcons. Spiro Diaz, Adam Archuleta, and Adite Kinkabella. Okay, hopefully I said that correctly. On CBS, the Falcons are a 1.5 point favorite. Liam, since you're new, we'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons to win and to cover the spread. I don't think either team is very good, but someone has to win the division. I think it's going to be the Falcons. Buccaneers struggled with Carolina last week. Carolina is horrible. Falcons, they have some decent players, Bijan Robinson. So I'm going to take the Falcons at home to cover and to win.
Zan.
We're taking Tampa. Simply put, Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Desmond Ridder, and I like some of the things he was able to do in the first half. And I think that overall, I think Tampa Bay's offense is just a little bit better, and I think this is one of those games where whoever has the ball last is going to win. And I think Baker Mayfield has been in these situations before. It's a divisional game, back-to-back divisional games for the Bucks. They are going on the road, but it probably doesn't even feel like a road game to them. It more so feels like a neutral site game to them, I'm sure. So give me the Bucks and Baker Mayfield to win and cover the spread and pick up another key NFC South divisional win as December really gets rolling here with about 4 weeks to go in the season. So give me the Bucks.
Nick D.
I'm going with the Falcons. The Bucks really stink right now. I mean, I don't love either team. Falcons are the home team. I think they should be able to narrowly be able to pull this one off. It's only 1.5 points.
Yeah, we're not talking about much. Tom?
I'll go with the Falcons and take the money as well. Let's be honest. The Falcons should be a better team. than the Buccaneers. I mean, the Buccaneers credit, they have a couple of their weapons. I think Baker's an okay kind of quarterback, but I mean, there's trouble brewing over in Tampa. You think about Chris Godwin and his usage decreasing to the point where apparently it's now on social media, something involving Godwin's wife or something, taking shots at Todd Bowles and coaching staff. It's not a good scene there in Tampa. Meanwhile, with the Falcons, the frustrating thing is, and you even see it with the Jets game, Bijan Robinson, really poor first half, but then has a much better second half. Kyle Pitts, I mean, the story of Kyle Pitts in this Atlanta offense has been underutilization. Drake London, sort of the same, even though he's had a couple of injury woes. I mean, the Falcons have some great young talent, and it's just they're not used great. And I do agree with Zan that as much as I'm going with the Falcons. Desmond Ridder is only a kind of quarterback, so Atlanta needs somebody different in that system. But I'll still go with the young talent, and I will take the money.
Yeah, I'm not. This game is crap. Like it's a really bad game. The Jet game was concerning to me. If you're a Falcons fan, that you only scored 13 points against a rushing defense, which I think is 32nd in the league in rush yards given up. Bijan Robinson really scared me last week, especially because I had a prop on him to score a touchdown and got nowhere close to the end zone whatsoever. If you took any other running back for a touchdown prop, you would have made money, except for Bijan Robinson, the one guy that didn't score. Their quarterback situation is a mess in every way, shape, or form. Desmond Ridder, Tyler Heineke, take your pick. It's a mystery box. But I don't like the Bucs either. The Bucs, like Nicky said, have been a mess. Like you don't know what you're going to get from week to week. You'll get good Baker Mayfield one week, and then you'll get a really shitty Baker Mayfield another week, and you don't know what to expect. I'm hoping with the spread being under 3, the home team somehow narrows this out and take the money. All right.
So am I the lone wolves who to speak on this first pick, or is anybody else picking the Bucs?
As of right now, you're the only one.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Rams at the Ravens. Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnson, and Pam Oliver on Fox. It is a 7.5 point spread for the Ravens. Nick D, you go first on this one. What you got?
Oh, I did it. I also did this on the show. I took the Rams. I like the Rams this game. I know it's risky, but I just feel like I do feel like the Rams are capable when they want to. They can compete with a team like the Ravens. When they want to. They've at least been able to be competitive in some of these games. And I don't know. It's really that extra half a point that really scares me a little bit.
Okay, so you got the Rams. Okay, Tom.
Wait, Nick D, just to clarify, you have the Rams to cover and win, or the Rams to cover and the Ravens to win?
No, Ravens to win outright, but the Rams to cover.
Okay.
You scared all of us. I think we were all thinking that you were picking the Rams to pull off the upset.
No, just to cover.
Okay. I kind of want to go on Nick D's wavelength then. Look, I like the Ravens, and the Ravens are one of the best teams right now with the AFC. They definitely have some good pieces. However, as Nick D has kind of said, the Rams, when they want to be, can be great. And honestly, the Rams have a little bit of a hot hand right now.
They won 3 games in a row.
Right. They're on a bit of a heated streak right now. And so I think they can be competitive with a team like the Ravens, especially when you consider that the Ravens are a little banged up at this point. So, you know what? Why not? Why not on this one? I'll go with the Ravens, but I don't think the spread is covered. I think the Rams managed to hold their own.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think this is the one time I won't go against the grain here. The Ravens have been really good offensively. They've suddenly figured it out with Lamar, and they're finally putting a lot of touchdowns up on the board. The Rams, again, you don't know what you're going to get every week. Does Matt Stafford come out and throw for 300 plus yards and for 3 touchdowns, or is he going to throw 3 picks and then your team is completely screwed offensively? That's the big issue you're going to run into. The Ravens have a really, really, really good defense. I think they're top 3 in defense, if I'm not mistaken, also. And a lot more pressure on Stafford this week. No way I'm going against the Ravens. Take the money. Liam?
Yeah, I agree completely. I got the Ravens. I think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm really high on the Ravens. Rams, yeah, they've won 3 in a row, but they beat Seattle barely, and then they beat Arizona and Cleveland, who had nobody. And also, I am a big believer in that a West Coast team going to the East Coast and playing a 10 a.m. game always has a lot of trouble. So I'm with you. I'm completely on the Ravens in this one.
Zan?
Not only am I picking the Ravens minus 7.5, and of course outright, I'm making this my lock of the week. This is me being super confident in saying that I think that Lamar Jackson is a coming out party. I think he throws 3 touchdowns. I think that Gus Edwards is a huge day running the football. I think he scores himself. I think Matt Stafford gets picked off twice. I just think this is a total a total Ravens domination. The weather's going to play in their factor too. The weather is supposed to be horrible in Baltimore. It ended up starting to rain near the end of the game. I just think this is a brutal environment for the Rams to play in after winning 3 in a row. And as Liam just alluded to, it's a very good point. You know, a West Coast team playing a 10 a.m. game their time, going all the way to M&T Bank Stadium, to me just smells like bad news in a game that the Rams can absolutely not afford to lose. And this is one of their last crossover conference matchups of the year. And this is one that the Rams desperately need. And I just think the Ravens have been playing really good football. And they know that now with the loss of Joe Burrow, at least for a little bit, that the AFC North is theirs for the taking. And then, of course, you have Pittsburgh and is struggling there too, as well as Cleveland. So the door is wide open for the Ravens to do some big things. And I would argue that I don't know if they're the best team in the AFC right now, but they're definitely a top 3 contender. They're a team to look out for in the month of December. So give me the Ravens minus 7.5, and of course to win a really, really critical game, and a game that could easily be considered a trap game, which I don't personally think is. So yeah, give me Baltimore.
All right, moving on. And since you had the big lock, we're going to go to you for the next game, Zan. Lions at the Bears. The Lions are a 3-point favorite. Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, Christina Pink on NFL on Fox. As I said, the Lions are a 3.5-point favorite. Zan, since your Bears here, make a first selection.
Yeah, so I think this is the David Montgomery revenge game. I think he comes into Chicago, and I think he gives us a taste of our own medicine, unfortunately. I think that this is one of these classic NFC North games where the game is close, but I think very similar story to the game in Detroit a couple weeks ago. I think the Bears find a way to lose this one. I think Justin Fields plays well, but he just makes a few too many mistakes. And I actually think you're going to see a rare Cairo Santos miss that really changes the whole complexion of the game and gives the Lions another sweep over the Bears. So unfortunately for the Bears, those slim, if any, postseason hopes are going to die this week. So give me Detroit to win and cover and move one step closer to potentially locking up the NFC North. So I think Detroit wins in a close one, probably by about 6. We'll say the final score is going to be. It's going to be a close one. I'm going to see 28-22 Detroit at Soldier Field or in Chicago, and what will probably be one of the most entertaining games of the early window, in my opinion.
Liam.
I'm actually going to take the Bears to cover, and I'm also going to take the Bears to win the game. The Bears should have beat the Lions a couple of weeks ago. They were a couple of plays away from winning. They were a couple of plays of winning the Vikings. I don't think the Lions are very good. I think their defense is bad. They lost to the Packers. They should have lost to the Bears. They got close losing to the Saints. I think the Bears are going to beat them. Yeah, I think the Bears are going to beat them.
Wow. I didn't expect that. But I'm on the same wavelength a little bit, that the Lions have not been playing good football as of late. They just look like they're playing down to their competition a little bit as of late. They should have lost to Chicago the last time they played. The Packer game, you can't lose to Jordan Love. Sorry. If you expect to be high up in your conference, you can't lose to Jordan Love and the Packers. That just was a bad look. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think the Bears are going to win, but I'm going to say the Lions are barely going to cover, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is down to the wire in the fourth quarter. Take the money with the Lions. Tom.
Yeah, Nick, I agree because it's that half point hook. That half point hook scares me. If that was just a 3, I would be jumping on this saying take the money. But as you mentioned, as you and Liam both mentioned, the Lions have just not been playing. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL, not just the NFC. Problem you got is, as you mentioned, that it's been a struggle for them. You're right. They got absolutely embarrassed on Thanksgiving by the Packers. But I guess you could say the Lions always seem to struggle with Thanksgiving for whatever reason. The Bears game the first time around, should have lost that one. The whole Saints game was just bad. You got to play better if you want to be able to, you can't have the fuel go out on you in December. Would that be typical Lions football? Probably.
Yeah.
But this is your opportunity to rebound against the Bears team that is considerably weak and one of the worst teams in the NFL. So I'll give the Lions the chance. And like Nick Morgasen, I think they will barely cover. I think this will be, a 5-point, 6-point game. So I will say take the money. But if the upset that Liam is predicting happens, there's going to be so many questions about the Lions to the point where they're probably going to drop out of people's top 5.
Heads are going to roll if the Lions lose to the Bears. Nick D, what do you think here?
I agree with everything you guys are saying to a degree about, the Lions. You're right. They haven't been playing good football, and that's why the line is only 3.5. Like the spread shows it. Something still tells me they're going to be able to cover this. I could see this game being close, but the Lions, if they can score a lot of points, and they do tend to be a high-scoring team, and I don't trust the Bears at all. I would say, if anything, this is more of a I don't trust the Bears pick than a pro Lions pick, if anything. I see the Lions being able to cover this. Maybe even if they play a bad game, I think they'll play like a bad game, but still cover. That's what I think is going to happen. But the Lions tend to score a lot of points. They tend to be in these shootouts. It's easy to cover 3.5-point spread in that circumstance.
I mean, the Bears are just such a terrible team, considering Matt Eberflus, who I forgot who said it the other day. Someone said Matt Eberflus was actually a good coach, and I almost fell out of my chair for the second time, Tom.
He's a former Bears player who said it, that Eberflus should not be fired at the end of the year, and that he should just fire Getsy and not Eberflus.
What team is he watching?
I don't know.
All right, let's move on
He's
here.
not watching, no, Nick. He's not watching the Bears. He's watching the Bears.
Well, that's true. All right, moving on to the Colts at the Bengals. I think that line flipped. The Bengals are now a 1-point favorite. Tom McCarthy, James Lofton, Jay Feely, Tiffany Blackman. I hate when they put 4 people in the booth. As I said, the Bengals are 1-point favorite. I'm going to take this one because I seem to be the Bengals hater here. They actually decided to win a game this past week on Monday Night Football. What was the score of that game? They won it in overtime, 34-31. So did anyone on the bingo card have the Bengals winning 34-31 in overtime and the amount of points that was scored combined?
No, but I had the Bengals to cover though, so I was happy. I was happy about that.
We did have people last week that said the Bengals were going to cover. It was more a matter of that. It was more a matter of that. I can't believe that not just the amount of points scored, Nick, but that the Bengals beat the Jaguars.
The Jaguars, I don't think, are as good as people say they are. That's just me. And also Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Now I think they avoided like real injury. I think he just has a sprained ankle or a twisted ankle, so he'll probably. They're saying he's not even ruled out for this coming week, which I find kind of silly. I think he's not going to play, but here the Bengals are a streaky team. I look back at their schedule. They won their first 2, then they won 1, then they lost, and they won 4, then they lost 3. They're such a streaky team. And the Colts have actually been playing decent football as of late. Gardner Minshew, I keep on saying this, actually has held his own at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
And with that alone, and I know Jake Browning has played some good football out of the XFL, former Washington quarterback. I think, what did he throw for 350 yards in this overtime game?
Yep.
I don't know. In this case, I think I like Gardner Minshew. I know this is going to sound funny coming out of my mouth. I'm taking the Colts to win outright here. Tom.
I mean, first of all, I would not disrespect Gardner Minshew. I would not disrespect the power of that mustache. I would not disrespect him at all. But you know what? The Bengals, I think, should have earned. I get it. They're a very weak team at this point without Joe Burrow. They're obviously not going to be going anywhere. But they managed to keep things competitive and managed to defeat the Jaguars. And you got to give credit to Jake Browning where it is due. He definitely managed to keep that team in a game. Joe Mixon, big running night for him. Obviously, there was that one little embarrassment where Tyler Boyd threw a lateral right into the hands of a Jaguars defender, which that was really bad. But you know what? Just as you said you were going to give belief in Gardner Minshew, I am going to give belief in Jake Browning, and I am going to say, as I always do, don't disrespect the Bengals. Take the money.
Jeez, shocker. Nick D.
I like the Colts. I'm disrespecting the Bengals.
Yeah.
The Colts are a bizarrely good road team. That's one of them. It's only it's only a 1-point spread, so it's not like they have to cover anything big. It's just, all they have to do basically is win the game. And the Bengals are Jake Browning is their quarterback now. Although he might be better than an injured Joe Burrow. But something tells me they might be in for a letdown. I don't think this is going to continue. I feel like they're in a bit of a honeymoon phase after winning one game, and they're gonna come back down to earth.
All right, so you have the Colts. Zan.
Yeah, I was initially picking this game when the Colts were favored, and I'm still going to pick the Colts as the underdog. I think Gardner Minshew is going to do a little bit more than Jake Browning this week, and I think the Colts offense has played pretty well over the last several weeks, and I expect Jonathan Taylor to have a really huge game on the road. And this is a game that's critical for both teams' as wild card and divisional hopes, specifically for Cincinnati. The Colts still have some work to do to catch Jacksonville, but this is one of those games where neither team can afford to lose, and I just think the Colts are a little bit better. And as Nick D alluded to, I think Cincinnati may have gotten a little lucky on Monday night, and that's just kind of how the chips fall. But I think this week it's back to reality. This week it's back to Gardner Minshew playing good football, going on the road, and showing that he's a competent quarterback and that you can definitely trust down the stretch. So give me the Colts to win and cover. I think it's going to be a 26-23 overtime game is what I think.
I mean, basically everyone has to take them outright because 1-point spread. So essentially it's everyone taking them outright if you're taking the upset. Liam?
I'll take Cincy. Cincy's at home. Both these teams are borderline playoff teams with a backup quarterback. Cincinnati has more experience winning in December. Obviously, Burrow's not out, but their coach and other players on the team, they're at home. Colts are much younger and experienced, so I'll take the Bengals at home.
All right, moving on to an Iron Eagle, Charles Davis and Evan Washburn special on CBS. The Jaguars are at the Browns. The Browns are a 3-point favorite at home. Liam, kick this one off.
I'll take the Jaguars to win and cover. I think the Browns have not looked good in the last 2 weeks since they lost both of their starting quarterbacks. Flacco was all right the other week, but he's coming off the couch and he hasn't been good in the past few years. And I still think the Jaguars have some dogs on their team. So even if Lawrence doesn't play, I still think that they're a better team than the Browns right now.
Zan.
It's going to be a close one, but I think the Jaguars covered this and win this game. I just think Travis Etienne outduels a really, really, really solid Cleveland Browns defense, and when you have an aging Joe Flacco, that means some pretty bad news. And regardless of whether or not the game is in Cleveland or not, it's it still doesn't switch my pick. And this is one of those scenarios where the Jaguars really aren't traveling cross country. They're still in the same time zone, so I don't think it'll affect them that much. So give me the Jaguars to win and cover on the road and bounce back. And it's actually another AFC North opponent, so it's funny they're playing back to back AFC North opponents 2 weeks in a row, and even though it will be a difficult environment, even though it's starting to get colder in Cleveland, I don't think it'll phase them. So give me Jacksonville to win and cover with Trevor Lawrence potentially sidelined. So
Nick D.
I like the Browns. Flacco didn't look that bad last week. CJ Beathard, I don't know if I trust him to really, because he played last week, but very little. Something tells me this could end up being a total disaster for the Jaguars. I don't love either of these teams, obviously. I hate it, but I don't know. Something tells me that I trust Flacco a lot more than Beathard right now, at least. And I think the Browns are going to be able to pull this off.
Tom.
Yeah, we can talk all we want about, the loss to the Bengals. We could talk all we want about the aging Joe Flacco, the tough Browns defense and everything, or the Browns being at home. But guys, we're forgetting the $64,000 question. The health of Trevor Lawrence. Because like Nick Morgasen was mentioning before, the fact that it's shocking to me that Trevor Lawrence is still on track to play this game. And my fear is with that tough Cleveland defense, is this going to do more harm than good throwing him out there at this point when you could just give him a week of rest? Because I don't see the Jaguars really being in too much of a state of trouble with the rest of the AFC South. I think this is still the Jaguars division to win. And I think as much as we got Travis Etienne, the Jacksonville's offense is still okay, but against that really strong Cleveland defense, say Joe Flacco and give that sarcastic elite comment all you want, but if you remember Joe Flacco's Super Bowl, that was with the Ravens, who had a strong, tough defense. It's something that Joe Flacco is kind of used to, and the Cleveland offense has had its moments, even without Deshaun Watson as the quarterback. We've been harping on that. We've talked about Cleveland on this show, on ETB. I'm going to take the money on this one. I'm going with Cleveland, continuing to ride the momentum all the way to playoff land.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, Tom, you and I share a brain on this one. I'm actually taking the Browns -3. Also, I don't like the quarterback matchup, period. Joe Flacco versus CJ Beathard, if that's what's going to happen. Because, in my opinion, Trevor Lawrence should not play. If he ends up playing through whatever, it's a twisted ankle or an ankle injury, Cleveland is going to send blitzes nonstop.
Yeah, it would be a terrible idea.
You're going to see blitzes every other play, forcing him to get out of the pocket. And that's going to happen one too many times. He's going to aggravate that injury even more, and that might be the end of his season if he gets hurt. Flacco had a good game. I think it was 23 for 44, 254 yards, and 2 touchdowns and 1 pick, which was kind of an unfortunate pick, in my opinion, in the book. But I like the Browns here. The Browns defense has been really, really good. Now they just got to play better on the offensive side of the ball to match the defense, which is a question mark. But in this case, yeah.
But you know what? You say that, but I think Cleveland has held its own, considering the fact that they lost 2 of their biggest pieces in Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson this season.
I understand, but they do need to play better. They're a Jets, in my opinion, which we'll get to in a little bit, where they have a really good defense, but they don't have the offense to match, and that's why they lose games. So I'm taking the Browns to cover. All right, moving on. Panthers at the Saints. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Shannon Spake on Fox. The Saints are a 5-point favorite. Tom, you take this one first.
Do I have to?
Yes, you're contractually obligated to.
Okay. Well, this game, let's be honest. The NFC South, guys, is utter shit. Please.
Oh, just say it.
It is so terrible. And I get it. The Saints are a 5-point favorite. But I think this is less of a fact of the Saints being the better team and just how bad Carolina is. Just unbelievable. Nothing can go right for this team to the point where Frank Reich was fired basically a little more than midway through this season. The Panthers are on track to basically get the number 1 pick again. Oops, I'm sorry. That pick belongs over with Zan and the Chicago Bears right now. You're gonna get Bears 2 top 5 picks probably this year. So at this point, was Bryce Young even worth it? Now the Saints, I mean, Alvin Kamara had a big game last week. You know, Derek Carr got banged up. So famous Jameis came in. Look, this is such a bad game. But you know what? The Panthers are just such a bad team that I really can't care for this. I'm taking the money.
God. Nick D.
Yeah, I like the Saints. The Panthers are just really bad right now. Something tells me the Saints are going to win the division. I don't know. I think I'm a bit of a Derek Carr sympathizer. I think, I just for some reason have a lot of faith in Derek Carr. I feel like he gets a raw deal a lot. But the Panthers are just horrible right now, and the Saints, I think they look like the best team in the division.
Okay, so you have the Saints. Okay. Zan.
Yeah, I mean, this game just absolutely sucks, but the fact of the matter is that Derek Carr is much more experienced and is much better than Bryce Young. So based on that fact alone, the Saints have the quarterback, the Saints have the running back, and the Saints have the special teams that can just stifle Carolina and do whatever they want. This is a super easy pick. I mean, the Saints -5 in a critical divisional game if they want to keep pace with Atlanta and the Bucks, because the Saints' schedule only gets more difficult, and this NFC South to me just feels like a round robin where you have no idea who's going to win the division, and it's almost like whoever makes the last mistake is going to be the one that hands the division to the team that wins it. So the Saints better win this game to keep the carousel going, because this is getting more hilarious every single week. So give me the Saints. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Saints were so average that they nearly lost to the Bears and couldn't even cover.
That's a good point.
I mean, that is just, if you want to talk about futility and incompetence, that's as awful as you can get, considering the Bears might end up with the number 1 pick in next year's draft. But nonetheless, back to this game, I just think the Panthers really have nothing going for them, and this should be an easy divisional win for the Saints. Would be very surprised if he some way found a way to blow it.
By the way, I think Frank Reich is being paid $25,000 a day. I heard from his contract being fired. So he's got the Colts money, and now he's got the Panthers money.
Oh my goodness! Well, honestly,
imagine he gets a third team.
Hey, 3 strikes and you're out, but you're still paid. Liam, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take the Saints. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to play. He was carted off the field last week, and they said he's been limited in practice. But either way, they have Jameis Winston, who's still not terrible, and the Panthers are really bad. Saints need to win. It's in New Orleans. I think they run the Panthers off the field. The Panthers may have also quit. They're so bad.
They look like they were
supposed to play on Sunday.
Is he? I mean, he keeps getting banged up and put on the floor. But by the way, I did some quick math on the NFC South. The NFC South as a whole is 17-31. 17-31. That's how bad the NFC South is.
And you might not get a clinching scenario until week 17 or 18. That's how bad it is.
Just so you know, the Falcons at 6-6 are leading the division. Leading the division. So
well, I did say in our NFL preview, I did say that I thought the NFC South winner was going to be sub 500.
Let me make my pick officially. So I'm taking the Saints. Who was the wide receiver that was having a heck of a straight? Was it Olivier or Olave? Chris Olave, who had a 150-yard game. He's been on fire, except for going into the medical tent and totally killing his streak. But Kamara looks great. Olave looks great. If Carr plays, they're going to win. Take them. All right. So it's time for video number 1, which Tom was busy this week. So let me fire that up here. So let's watch video number 1. We'll talk about that in a second.
Welcome to Who's Jets Quarterback Is It Anyway? The show where everything is made up and the points that they score don't matter and the wins don't matter. Why? Because the Jets SUCK suck.
All right, so let's go into the matchup. Texans at MetLife facing the Jets. The Texans are a 3.5-point favorite. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins on CBS. I kind of feel bad for Kevin Harlan here. Nick D.
Sorry, Nick, I told you what Kevin Harlan should do. Launch up another monitor, so that way he can give updates on another game and then go, "I'm calling both games."
Well, he already had to do that once. I wouldn't be surprised if he had to do it again. All right, Nick D, you and I will go first with our miserable Jets fandom. You first.
Texans. I don't. The Jets, I don't think have anything to play for. They're just so beaten down right now. The Jets, recently, and are one of those teams that they just they spiral out of control late November, early December. It's only going to get so much worse. And the Texans are surprisingly good, and they just have so much more to play for. And they're in the right, the Texans are on the up and up. Even if they don't make the playoffs, they have a bright future. The Jets are they're just crashing and burning. And 3.5 points is not that much. It's only going to get worse with the Jets, which is always what happens every year later in the year. So I'm easily going to take the Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to follow that one up. This is the easiest pick of the week. Texans, CJ Stroud's going to absolutely come into MetLife and embarrass the you-know-what out of the Jets. The Jets' defense has looked terrible the last couple of weeks. And the reason they look terrible the last couple of weeks, there's so much pressure because the offense doesn't stay on the field long enough to give the Jets defense a break. You also have the whole BS going on with the quarterback situation that supposedly they asked Zach Wilson to be the starter, and Zach Wilson basically said, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to get injured."
But do we know that actually happened?
There's conflicting reports of it, and then Aaron Rodgers obviously went on the Pat McAfee show for his normal appearance and basically said, "You can't talk about Zach Wilson that way." He was like the old man wagging his finger. So this one's easy. Take the money. The Jets have no chance in this game. Take the money, and it's my lock of the week. Texans -3.5.
You're going with it if it's your lock. Wow.
Tom, go ahead.
See, I'm split between this game and another one because I really think I'm so split on this pick. The pick is easy. The pick is the Texans. CJ Stroud, as you said, looks unbelievable. Let's just give him offensive rookie of the year already. It has been an absolutely great, performance from him. The one concern I will say about the Houston's defense, Tank Dell going down, that's a bit of a blow. Nico Collins did have a bit of a very big game. Let's see if that holds up, especially going up against a really tough Jets defense. But the thing is, the tough Jets defense is the only thing that the Jets have going for them. Because Cleveland, Nick, we make that comparison before between Cleveland and New York. Cleveland has been performing with its offense, even if only to a degree. The Jets, I mean, we we weren't even sure, Nick, going into yesterday, who their quarterback was going to be. There was that report, as you guys mentioned, about Zach Wilson saying no originally to being the starter. And then there's that whole miscommunication. But it's like what Nick D is saying. It's an absolute disaster for the Jets this time of year. So I'm going to go with the Texans. I will say take the money. I'm not going to use the lock on this one, though. There's another game that catches my eye.
By the way, I know what you wanted to say about the Jets' offense.
You suck.
But Liam, go ahead.
I will go against the three of you. I'm going to take the Jets to win and to cover the spread.
What?
The Jets?
You'll win? No way.
The Jets defense is really good. CJ Stroud's been great, but he's due for a bad game. The Robert Saleh was above D'Amico Ryans when they were in San Francisco, so he knows the way he coaches. And Nick D said that the Jets always fall apart this time of year, but actually the Jets always win a game that they probably shouldn't win when they're playing for a draft pick. And I think that this will be the week.
Wow, didn't see that one coming. Zan, go ahead.
Well, first off, I 1,000% disagree with that because the Jets have already won a game they weren't supposed to win earlier in the year, upsetting the then undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. So they've already had their due. This is going to be a CJ Stroud masterclass on Sunday, and this game won't even be close. Give me the Texans to win this game 35-13 with people leaving in the third quarter of that life. This is going to be an absolute embarrassment. Give me Houston.
Wow. There's like two opposite extremes.
Liam, I know you're new to the show. I know Liam is new to the show, but I'm going to give him some advice here.
Stay off the weed.
Like, oh man. All right, let's move on. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman on Fox, my favorite crew, my opinion, by the way. Vikings are a 3-point favorite at the Raiders. Who do we want here? Zan, you go.
I'm taking the Raiders to cover, but the Vikings to win. I think this is going to be a sneaky close game. I think Aiden O'Connell plays well. I actually think that Max Crosby gets 2 sacks on Josh Dobbs, but the Vikings find a way to win the game late. I mean, the Vikings to win 17-16 in Vegas. It'll be a good game.
Wow, didn't see that one coming. All right, Mr. Vikings fan up there, number 2. What do you got?
Yeah, pretty much just that. Skull, baby, skull. You know, look, I give credit to Coach Pierce. He really has done a pretty decent job with reinvigorating the Raiders offense. And, you know, the Vikings defense has been a big question mark of the season after losing a couple of key pieces. However, now it seems like Justin Jefferson is going to be making his return this week, which is going to be huge, bar none. So with that being said, I am going to say that I think Justin Jefferson is probably it's going to be a little bit of a return kind of game that he's going to need a little bit. That's not going to be the Justin Jefferson, but that's a big piece for that offense. That's a piece for Josh Dobbs to have. Give me the Vikings. Take the money on the road.
All right, I'll take this one next. This is a very like teeter-totter game. Like there's really no exact science pick to this game. You said Justin Jefferson's going to be back, Tom, or no?
I have heard that he is trending to be back.
So, in my opinion, that actually tips the scale to the Vikings having Justin Jefferson back. He is a top 3 wide receiver in this league. Let's not forget, when he's healthy, he is one of the best. Josh Dobbs, I'm a little afraid of Josh Dobbs right now. 4 picks.
But I will say, Nick, Justin Jefferson is going to be the greatest target that Josh Dobbs has ever had.
Oh, that's not even a debate. That's the 100% agreement of the century right there. But Josh Dobbs throwing 4 picks. What was that against the Bears? I mean, sorry, Zan, but like that's not good when you're throwing 4 picks against the Bears. That's just not a good look. But I just think the Vikings have a little bit more than the Raiders. I don't know what the Raiders are at this point. I say they win by 4 or 5, barely covering. Liam, go ahead.
I'll take the Raiders to cover. I'll take the Vikings to win and the Raiders to cover. The Raiders, they aren't great, but they hung in the game against Kansas City, hung in the game against Miami, and then beat the Jets and Giants in the last 4 games. Josh Dobbs, he came down to earth last week. I think the Vikings are better, but I think the Raiders will hang around, and I think they'll cover.
All right, Nick D.
Yeah, I think I agree completely. I mean, I would pick the Raiders. Yeah, Raiders to cover and Vikings to win outright. The Vikings haven't played good football lately. They've been barely winning games. I mean, they beat the Saints, but they beat they lost to the Bears and beat the Broncos by 1 point in their last 2 games. So they haven't been looking very good.
They lost to the Broncos.
That's what I said. They lost to the Broncos.
All right, so who'd you have?
The Raiders, but the Vikings to win. So I can see the Vikings like barely winning this in sort of like a funky kind of score. I can see, honestly, a situation where this is a 3-point game and everybody loses on the spread pick. But yeah, Vikings to win, but Raiders to cover.
All right. So was I the only one who had them as a full cover?
So 3
No,
of
I
us.
had him as a full cover.
Okay.
So 3 of us are picking the Vikings to win with the Raiders to cover. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the ETB sports hosts both picked the Vikings to cover.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. I think this game is probably one of the more obvious. Also, Seahawks at the Niners. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi on Fox. The Niners are a 11-point favorite on the road. What do you got, Tom?
No.
For the
At
first
home.
time-
At home.
Oh, did I say on the road? At home.
Yeah.
Wait. For the first time, we have a Tom Albano playoff scenario update for this game.
Okay. What do you got?
So, a San Francisco win and a Green Bay loss, or a San Francisco win and a Minnesota loss, or a San Francisco win and both Green Bay and Minnesota tie. San Fran locks up the first playoff berth on the NFC side of things.
Yeah, I would throw the tie scenario out. I don't even know why they list ties in a playoff scenario anymore.
Okay. I understand, but then San Fran not only has to win, but Green Bay or Minnesota have to lose.
So one of those will win or lose. I mean, I'll take this game. I've been on the Niners all year, but 11 points is a lot. And the Seahawks covered last week against the Cowboys, which I didn't expect. That one was kind of a shocker.
Oh, man.
Yeah, really. But the Niners are just an offensive juggernaut, and I think they do have a chance to actually cover this game. Defense has finally come back to fruition, playing a lot better. I'm going to say that the Niners are going to cover this one. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the 49ers, come on. They beat the Eagles. 49ers and the Eagles are the 2 best teams right now in the NFC. They look like they're heading to an NFC championship matchup so far at the rate that those 2 teams are going. San Fran is playing unbelievably. Did the 11 points scare me? Yes. You could especially consider, as you mentioned, Seahawks nearly beat the Cowboys, but I'm going to count that as an anomaly because the last time the 49ers and Seahawks played on Thanksgiving, it was not even close. So I'm going to say San Fran takes this, take the money. As far as locking up a playoff spot, as we'll discuss later with Green Bay's game, I don't know about that this week.
So you have them covering?
Yes, I do.
Nick D.
I like it's a big spread, but I feel like the Niners can do it because they've been blowing out teams a lot. So I'm going to go with the Niners just because of how good they've been playing. And I mean, this is no surprise. I'm the biggest critic of the Seahawks on this show. But the 11 points does scare me a little bit, but I don't know. I can see them winning this by 2 touchdowns or more. Just they've looked good enough to the point where I think they can cover a spread like this.
Zan.
Yeah, well, I made the mistake a couple of weeks ago on Thanksgiving night thinking that Seattle could cover, and a third corner interception by Geno Smith kind of did it in for me. So I'm not going to make the same mistake again a couple weeks later. Give me the 49ers and Brock Purdy to win and cover in a game that San Francisco needs to win if they want to have a chance of locking up a playoff berth. And for Seattle, I just think it's going to be a rough day. It seems like San Francisco is at their number the last few years, and while Seattle's played pretty well, put up 35 against Dallas a week ago, it just simply wasn't enough. And the 49ers are simply the better football team and essentially can win the NFC West by themselves, barring a Rams or Seahawks miracle, which I don't think will happen. So give me San Francisco to win. Final score will probably end up being something like 34-20. I could see this being a 2-touchdown game. I don't think San Francisco trails at all. I think Seattle plays tough for about 2 quarters or so, but San Francisco was just a better team. This is a nationally televised game, one of the big Fox late window games of the week. So I think it's going to play to their favor. So give me the 49ers minus 11 in an easy cover and win this week in a critical divisional matchup.
Liam.
Yeah, I'll take the 49ers to win, but I'll go with the Seahawks to cover. I think it's a really big line, and 49ers are the best team in the NFL. I agree, but they just had a big win. I think that they'll easily beat the Seahawks, but are they going to keep their foot on the pedal the whole game? Even if you're up 2 touchdowns late, you won't feel comfortable. So I'll take the Seahawks to cover, to stay with inside the number.
All right, moving on. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wilson on CBS. Bills at the Chiefs at Arrowhead. 1.5 point line. I think Tom is just sick of Tony Romo and his. I don't know, Jim. I don't know
about that one, Jim. But you know what? I do know about this one, Jim.
Do you? Well, we'll go to you since you like that one so much. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I do know about this one, Nick. This is my lock of the week.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, no, that 1.5 line. That 1.5 line. You know, as much as we're talking about the Texans Jets being a easy blowout, that 1.5 line is just too good to pass up because that's one that the Chiefs can easily get. I know we've talked about, you know, what Bills team are you going to get? What Josh Allen are you going to get? The Chiefs defense. I mean, plenty of questions to have about the Chiefs defense after the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks. But you know what? Patrick Mahomes, and honestly, I have more safeties, more what's it called? I feel more safe with the Kansas City than I do with Buffalo. Buffalo's had a good couple of performances, but in my eyes, they're still honestly pretty much a mid team. They need a big performance against Kansas City to, you know, prove it to a lot of people that they still can be a top team in the AFC. So that all being said, easy lock of the week. Take the money on the Chiefs.
I mean, I'm not too far off from you. I have the Chiefs winning. This is the game I was looking at besides the Jet-Texan game as a lock. What does concern me is the Chiefs offense, the way they kind of been playing all year. They're not the same as they were when they had all those weapons, when they had Tyreek Hill, who's, by the way, outperforming everybody and should be in the top for an MVP discussion, but it won't happen because the quarterback is the most important position. I digress. But which Josh Allen are you going to get? Which one are you going to get? Are you going to get the one that throws 3 picks? Are you going to get the one that throws 3 touchdowns? The defense has a lot of questions, a lot of injuries. I just think the Chiefs are better. Take the money. Liam, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree completely. Chiefs minus 1.5, better team at home. Also, they just lost last week. I think that's bad. I don't see them putting 2 bad performances in a row. They're a better team than the Bills. The only thing that scares me is why the line is only 1.5, because I feel like they should be much bigger favorites. But yeah, I'll take the Chiefs. They're much better.
It's almost too good to be true, that 1.5 point line.
Yeah. Exactly.
Zan, go ahead.
KC, easy. The Bills are streaking, as you alluded to just a minute ago. You don't know what Josh Allen you're going to get, but you do know that when Patrick Mahomes is on his game and the bright lights are on him and it's the NFL on CBS, he always thrives in these huge spots. And I think this is one of those games when the Bills look back on their season either as a sneak-in wild card or not a playoff team. They're going to be looking back at some of these earlier games prior to the Chiefs game saying, if we would have just gotten these 3, or if we would have just gotten these 4, we wouldn't have had to worry about the Chiefs game very much. But now this is turning into a must-win scenario, and if Josh Allen doesn't play well, that's going to smell bad news for him and that whole coaching staff. So give me KC to win and cover in a game where I think it could go multiple different ways, but I just see Mahomes playing really well, and I see the defense making a few huge plays late to win. I think the final score is going to be somewhere like 27-17 or something. I just think KC's the better team. They'll have the lead the whole game, and I just think that home crowd at Arrowhead is always a plus, and pretty much KC's at Buffalo's number, and I think it's going to continue on Sunday. So
you got the money there. All right. Moving on.
Well, you didn't ask me.
Nick, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
So I like the Chiefs. They're giving only 1.5 points at home. The Bills are very inconsistent. You can't trust them. You can't trust the Bills. The Bills just, I feel like they make too many mistakes for me to really trust them in this scenario. So the Chiefs just the line is small. I get that the line is small, but I think that's only because the Bills tend to keep it close against other good teams. But in a really tight scenario, in a clinch, the Bills figure out a way to screw it up.
Okay, so who did you have? Sorry.
The Chiefs.
Okay, you have the Chiefs. Okay, now we can move on. What game are we up to here? We are... Oh,
it's that time.
It's that time. That's right. So video number 2, as I said, Tom has been busy this week. I think we're back to form this week. So take a look.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos have been playing good football. I can't deny it.
Yeah, no, it just feels nice. It just feels. I hate preying on somebody's downfall, but it just feels so nice.
You just wanted the Broncos to lose.
Right after a loss. It's more fun to do Broncos country. Let's ride that way.
I mean, I think you were having fun, though. But, all right, Broncos at the Chargers. Believe it or not, I think this is an enticing game if you think about the two teams in this matchup.
Yeah.
Let's see. Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, AJ Ross on CBS. The Chargers are a 2.5-point favorite at home. I'll take this one first. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the Broncos, I feel like, have the momentum, even though they lost. I just think that the Chargers are a confusing team to me. And Tom, you've been saying that all year. We've been saying that all year. The Chargers are a confusing team. Do they win? Do they lose? Are they going to perform? Brandon Staley can't keep his own mouth shut and stop arguing with the media, which is
and then Nick,
the rule. Yeah.
And then last week against the Patriots, I mean, it's the defense that actually does the performing. The offense just sputters out of control.
I just want to point out something about last week's score. 6-0. And they covered the 5.5 spread.
Unbelievable.
For 6 points. I don't know who that's more of an addendum on. Is that the Chargers or the Patriots?
Well, Nick, it's getting to the point now where there's a rumor that Austin Eckler could actually lose touches to Joshua Kelly with the way that Eckler's been performing.
Unreal.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you can't.
I was going to say, I had the under in the Chargers-Patriots game on Wolf spreads, and that was the easiest under I've ever placed in my whole life. Not only was the game horrible, I didn't even watch it. All I had to do was check the score that it was 0-0 at halftime, and I knew I had won. This is great.
I mean, but yeah, I'm gonna ride the Broncos momentum. I know it's on the road. I know everyone's gonna say Broncos country. Let's ride. They lost. I have no faith in the Chargers. I have a Broncos plus 2.5. Liam, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I'll take the Broncos. I think the Chargers. I think it'll be a close game. The Chargers are so poorly coached, though, and they're just like you said. really odd team. They should be better than they are. The building when they're home, so it'll be 70% Broncos fans. It's not really a true road game, and I think the Broncos, like you said, have the momentum. So I'll take Denver to win.
Tom. Oh, sorry, Tom.
Yeah, look, I mean, even in the loss last week, the Broncos still played great. The Chargers, as we said, they're just spiraling out of control. There's just constant inconsistency. The defense is blah. Brandon Staley, I mean, you know my thoughts on Brandon Staley and where I want him to be at the end of this season with this godforsaken team.
The scrap heap.
So, yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, I don't want to give disrespect to Justin Herbert when you're saying this about Eckler and Kelly, and no disrespect to Kelly, but Eckler is one of the best in this game. I can't believe I'm going to say this, and I say this unironically somehow, some way. Broncos country, let's ride.
So you have the Broncos. Okay.
I had to upset.
Zan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get from this Chargers team every single week. Brandon Staley simply just doesn't know how to manage a game in the fourth quarter, and Denver just came up a little bit short against the Houston team that's becoming really exciting to watch every single week. And simply put, even though he's a really old man, Russell Wilson is simply better than Justin Herbert, and I think Russell Wilson outduels Justin Herbert, gets a huge win, and I really do think heads are going to roll in LA if Brandon Staley's the right guy for the job, and truly I don't think he is. And this is one of those games where you could very much make the argument that with a month to go in the season, whoever loses this game is more than likely done when it comes to the AFC wildcard picture, given who these teams are coming up later in the December. So with all that being said, give me Denver to cover and win, and I would like to correct myself. The score at halftime of the Chargers-Patriots game a week ago was Chargers 6-0 over New England. So either way, I was happy at halftime knowing that the under was going to easily hit because both of those teams just played some of the most incompetent football I've ever seen. But nonetheless, it'll be a good game. Give me Denver to just barely outduel the Chargers and win a critical road game and a really nice bounce back win.
Nick D.
You know, I've been really high on the Chargers all year. Something tells me that it's just kind of over for them. They just score. I was thinking of taking the Chargers all this time, and it feels easy. I don't know. I guess I never got out of the mindset that the Chargers are a good team because they should be a good team on paper.
Nick,
the Broncos have all the momentum right now. And the Chargers, every single time I say they're going to do it, they end up failing. They couldn't beat anybody. Not only do they not win, they also don't cover. So I don't know. I'm going to have to go with Denver. I mean, they've looked so much better lately. The Chargers, I mean, they're supposed to be an offensive team. They scored 6 points against the Patriots. I mean, the only team they looked really, really good against was against the Jets. And I've done it so many times, like just personally, I've been on the show so many times I took the Chargers, and I've been wrong every time. So Denver.
Wow, that's a clean sweep across the board for the underdog. All right. Moving on. Sunday Night Football. This is probably a really good matchup. Eagles at the Cowboys. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark on NBC. Where to start? All right, Nick D, you can take this one.
I like Dallas because this feels a little bit like a trap. Although the 3.5 does scare me a little bit. Look, the Eagles haven't played great lately. Dallas is better than they get. Dallas, I think, is better than they get credit for. They're playing at home. Dallas wants revenge from last game. Both teams have a lot to play for, obviously. But Dallas, I think they have the momentum.
Okay, so you got Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. Tom, go ahead.
All right. I want to make note, by the way. There are playoff scenarios for both teams that with a win could clinch a playoff berth, but there's like 10 possible scenarios for Philadelphia. And then there's like,
can you give the simplest one for both teams?
okay, yes. So the
Okay.
simplest one, okay, let me do that. So the simplest one for Philadelphia is simply a Philadelphia win and a Seattle loss or tie, or a LA Rams loss or tie.
Doable.
With Yeah, both of those are doable. With Dallas, we've got let's see. It could be, all right, let's go with this one. A Dallas win plus a Minnesota loss or tie, plus a Green Bay loss or tie, plus a Seattle loss, plus a Tampa Bay loss or tie, plus a Detroit win or tie, or a Rams loss or tie.
Oh my God.
So
That's
you're
crazy.
saying it's simple. So to say simple for Dallas, I mean, it's not that simple. No, you know what? It is that simple because we're gonna go in there. We're gonna beat the tar out of those Philadelphia Eagles. No,
Yeah,
you're not,
well.
Jerry. What? Yeah, no. I'm going upset city, boys. I'm going with Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia, they haven't, I know you're right. They haven't exactly played great, but you know what? This is still a Philly team and then you have the Jalen Hurts issue where like last week he got pulled from the game very briefly for a potential concussion, but it seems like all signs are a go for this week. I think this is going to be a bounce back game for Philadelphia. It's still the Eagles. They still have all their weapons. I trust them more than I trust the Cowboys for big games, even though Dak Prescott is playing up to an MVP level at this point. Yeah, damn right. That being said, yeah, no, I'm going upset city here. Philadelphia is going to win, and based on the results of that playoff scenarios we went over, and based on the games that we were going over here, Philadelphia locks up a playoff berth this week.
Yeah, believe it or not, again, you and I are on the same page on this one. I like the Eagles. I like the upset here, even though the Cowboys are one of the better home teams in the NFL. Let's not forget that. But in the big games against the Eagles, Dak does not perform. It's just a history of him not performing against the Eagles. He for some reason just doesn't come to play. He's allergic to big games. I do agree though with what Nick D said, and everyone else is saying that the Eagles have not looked great. Like they've really had to pack a punch to really win these last couple of games. But the Eagles have the Cowboys number. I'm taking the Eagles plus 3.5. Liam.
Mr. Morgasen, in the words of Will Smith, keep my quarterback's name out your damn mouth.
Okay then. Liam, go ahead.
Yeah, I picked this show on me. I picked this game on me and Nick's show earlier. This is gonna be my lock of the week. I love the Cowboys in this game. The Eagles have had a gauntlet schedule. We've had the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Bills, the 49ers, and now the Cowboys again. I think they're going to be gassed. They were gassed at the end of that game last week. They had every bounce go their way in the first matchup. Dallas should have won that game. They got really lucky to beat Buffalo and Kansas City. I think Dallas beats them. I think Dallas beats them by a lot. I think Dallas is going to run them out of the building. I think Dallas could beat them by 10 to 14 points. I think Dallas is going to beat them by a lot.
Wow. Zan?
Philly. I mean, they'll cover this easily, and Dak is just going to find a way to blow it. Just because this is a primetime game, all the bright lights are going to be on Dallas. How can they come back and get this revenge win a month after losing to them in a game that they pretty much beat themselves and the reason why they lost the first time? And I just can't trust that coaching staff to win a game at home against a team that is just depleted with bad luck. I mean, you guys probably agreed that's the worst the Eagles have looked a week ago in over a year, and I just don't see how Nick Sirianni lets two losses by them against a team that they just absolutely despise and know that they'll probably have to beat to make the NFC Championship game at the very least. So they want to be two up on them going into the postseason, and I think that's exactly what happens. Give me the Eagles to cover. Give me the Eagles to win the game, and give me the Eagles to win. I'm going to say final score of 34-24 in a very, very, very entertaining game with with some very controversial slimy call at the end that doesn't go Dallas's way, that really shifts the shifts the momentum and has Vegas grinning for whatever reason. I think that the lineup in this game is going to play a big factor as to who wins, and I think the Eagles are being disrespected with this line, and I think the Eagles win the game and cover the spread.
So basically, if you're saying this is a slimy call against the Cowboys, that means ESPN is going to spend 12 hours talking about it.
1,000%. Yeah.
Because they have to be biased for the Dallas Cowboys, because that's just what they are.
Right. And then Stephen A. Smith is going to put out the most classic reaction video of all time after Dallas loses, and it's going to be absolutely priceless. I can't.
Who was on crack?
Yeah. Well, he'll have his cigar and his cowboy hat, and then he'll just do that ridiculous laugh that he normally does. All right. Moving on to the Monday night doubleheader, double barrel action. Yes, you heard that correct. Double barrel action. First game. Actually, are they running simultaneously? Is that what they're doing this week?
Yes.
Okay.
They're running at the exact same time with two different crews, ABC on one and ESPN on the other. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to start with the ESPN game. Titans at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a 13-point favorite. Chris Fowler, Dan Orlovsky, Lewis Riddick, Laura Rutledge on ESPN. I'm going to leave Tom for the other game. Liam, you go first.
Yeah, I'll take the Dolphins. The Dolphins are the better team. It's a big line, which, like I said in the San Francisco game, I don't like big lines, but the Dolphins like to blow teams out. They never take their foot off the pedal. They have every team they've played that's not good, they have blown out. The Titans are not a good team. Dolphins are a good team and need the game, so I will take the Dolphins by a lot.
Actually, wasn't this the matchup of the 70-20 game earlier in the season?
No, that was
Or
the
no?
Broncos.
Was that the Broncos? Well, close enough. Usually, and Tom knows this, I hate big lines. I am the biggest person against lines, but in this case, I think this line is perfect the way it is. I think they will win by 2 touchdowns. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Mr. King Henry hurt?
Yes.
Well, he's still on track to play. He was able to return to practice as of the day we are recording this. So he's on track to play. That said, he is a little banged up.
Well,
I was going to say, yeah.
Regardless or not, the Dolphins are going to cover. Take the money. Tom.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm here. Sorry, I was trying to get my charger. Regardless or not, regardless if King Henry plays or not, the Dolphins are winning this easy. I mean, the Dolphins are just the better team offensively. They're the better team defensively. They are the better team at just about every single position, maybe minus the running back with King Henry. So at this point, there's just no question. Like all of you, I'm not a fan of big lines myself, but this is one I'm gonna. I don't want to say confidently, but I feel better taking the money on this one. There's nothing else I need to say. Dolphins.
I mean, Tyreek Hill might win this game on his own. Nick D, go ahead.
Yeah, the Dolphins. They're not one of those teams that usually plays down to their competition. Whenever they play an average or below average team, they usually win by really big margins, and they can score a lot of points. So I can see the Dolphins winning this by a lot.
Yeah, and I don't think that's hyperbole either.
No, it's not.
Zan.
Yeah, I mean, this is easy. Miami wins this game. As you alluded to, Nick, the line's perfect. I think this is the two at a Tyreek show. I think Tyreek scores twice in this game, and the Dolphins win by about 31, and their easiest win since the Denver win very early in the season. This is just a really bad letdown game for the Titans, and they're already going to be starting to think about next year. So give me the Dolphins in their second easiest win of the season on national TV without any sort of issues at all. Easy.
By the way, this is my lock of the week.
Well, okay. That's not a surprise. I think this is actually a good game to pick.
Yeah.
All right. Last game on the slate, Monday Night Football Part 2. Packers at the Giants. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salters, the normal crew on ABC. The Packers are a 6.5-point favorite at the Giants at MetLife. Tom, go ahead.
All right. So, I mean, we always say about the Packers. We always say, Nick, what do we always say? What Jordan Love are you going to get? Are you
It's
going
true.
to get the Jordan Love that can perform, or are you going to get the Jordan Love that is inconsistent, constantly is throwing to the wrong people and making, dumb decisions that a first year quarterback, I know he's technically not a rookie, but first year as a starter will do. Packers offense, we talked about this on the show before. The Packers offense is just blah. Aaron Jones not having a good season, has been hurt. AJ, the running back, and just in general with the Jones Dillon combo, just hasn't been great. I mean, they've got a decent talent with their young wide receivers, but it's just there's a lot of lack of confidence that I have with the Green Bay Packers. That being said, you know, Tyrod Taylor is designated to come back, but he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be ready for this game. I believe it's going to be. I think they already said Tommy DeVito is going to play
Yep.
as the starter again for this game. And got to give credit where credit's due. The last couple of weeks, he has shown that when he is given a chance and he throws the football, he can do it. It really makes you question what they were doing those couple of weeks. Playing the Jets, playing the Raiders, why they just continue to just hand it off to Saquon time after time. Because and two of those passing touchdowns a couple of weeks ago, I think it was in the Pats game, were passes to Saquon. So you can do more. You can open up the playbook with Tommy DeVito. And I have said, Nick, I have gone on the show, and I have, or during our NFL preview, I mean, and I have said that December was, other than the couple of Eagles games, a bit of a weaker schedule, that the Giants can find wins, try to make that last late playoff push, and then just break their fans' hearts, which I fully expect will happen. So you know what? Maybe it's because of my Giants fandom. I'm going to go thumbs middle. I'm going to go with the Packers, but I think the Giants play well enough that they do cover the spread on this one.
Oh, shocker. All right. Liam, you're a Giant fan, right?
I am a Giant fan, and as a Giant fan and an Italian person, I think Tommy DeVito is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I love Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito.
As a fellow U of I alumnus, that makes me happy. So I respect it. Yeah, TD3.
I love DeVito. However, I do think that the last 2 weeks and the last two games and the game that they shouldn't have won, that they would have probably lost to New England if the guy makes field goal, has kind of hit how bad the Giants are. They're a really bad football team. The weeks before that, they were getting embarrassed. And they're particularly bad in prime time. And there's going to be so many Packers fans in that building. The Packers are riding high. They're playing really well. The Packers are going to cover. I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to score that much. The only times they scored against the Patriots, they started deep into the Patriot territory. I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to even score enough to cover the spread. I think the Packers cover.
Well, Liam, let me ask you this question, though, because the Giants defense has managed to get to some of these weaker quarterbacks. I mean, if the wrong Jordan Love shows up, you can see the Giants defense taking advantage of that, can you?
Yeah, but I don't know if the offense is going to score enough, though. They scored 3 points in the last Monday night game they played against Seattle. The offense is still pretty bad.
It is bad. I mean, I look at this game and I'm like, I say to things, Julia, are the Giants even going to score? Like, that's the biggest issue you're going to have. I know Tommy DeVito has put touchdowns up on the board, but their offense is, I hate to say, is a joke. And the only thing they have is Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley is not even, in my opinion, you're going to hate when I say this, not a top running back. So I think the Packers are going to cover. I think they're going to blow the Giants out and embarrass them at home. Take the money with the Packers. Nick D.
All right. So I like the way the Packers have looked lately. But ultimately, you don't know which Jordan Love you're going to get. It's just sort of a what's in this box situation. And I don't know when I open this box, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know if it's going to be like a present or if it's going to like blow up in my face. And end up without eyebrows. So The problem I have with this is that, like, you're right. The Giants' offense isn't good, but they can put up points. It's not like they can't put up points. The Packers, you just don't know what we're gonna. They're going on the road. I don't know. I think going on the road and giving 6.5 is too much. I would take the Giants to cover, the Packers to win outright.
Wow. Didn't see that one coming. All right, who didn't pick? Zan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of you guys are overthinking this a little bit. The Packers, simply put, are the better football team. Jordan Love has played his best football of the season by far, and as much as I am a Tommy DeVito fan, and he's having a little bit of success the last few weeks, the Packers are just simply a better football team, more to play for national TV. The Giants are going to find a way to embarrass themselves yet again. The 6.5 line to me feels like stealing candy from a baby. So with that said, give me the Packers to win. I'm going to say the final score is 30-13, and
Wow.
the floodgates are going to open early in the first quarter with the pick six, and it's going to be a long day moving forward after that. So give me the Packers to win, and any hope of a Giants miracle playoff run is going to die in the second weekend of December. So give me the Packers.
Damn. So you want Giants fans to boo early at MetLife.
Yep, easy win.
All right, so that's the end of the slate. Now it's time to move over to our ETB Week 14 picks presented by Wolf Spreads. So for Liam, just so we understand, to everybody else who joined for the first time, we are presented by Wolf Spreads. We use the app. It's basically free money, and basically what you guys do with real gambling. This is safe gambling without losing any money.
Yeah, this is the fantasy version of that.
So I'll go first. I have the Rams over 40 against the Ravens. I have the Texans -3.5. I have the Ravens -7.5. I have the Chiefs -1.5, and I have the Eagles +3.5. Tom.
Give me 1 second here, because I actually want to make a little bit of a late addition here to my Wolf Spreads bets. Hold on one second.
So
okay, no, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got it. So so I'll just go in order. I have Houston, the money line, the -190 money line. I placed 450 fantasy dollars on that. My late addition that I just did, I put $75 down on Broncos Country Let's Ride and their +120 money line. And then I have two double bets this week. I have the Chiefs. I am taking both their -1.5 spread and their -125 line. A total of 650 fantasy dollars combined on that. And then my biggest one, 400 fantasy dollar bets for a total of 800 fantasy dollars on the Philadelphia Eagles +3.5, plus the 145 money line on them to pull off the upset against Dallas.
Zan.
All right, so I kind of did things a little bit differently. So full disclosure, I did update to the Wolf Spreads premium version. So these picks are going to be a little bit unique. So I am buying 2 points and picking the Indianapolis Colts +3.5. That's 300 fantasy dollars to win 176. I have the Cleveland Browns Jacksonville Jaguars under 34. That's a $350 wager to win 233. I have the Baltimore Ravens and buying 2 points. So I have the Ravens -5.5 over the Rams. 500 fantasy dollars to win 333. I've got Kansas City in a pick'em over Buffalo, $500 to win 357. And then my final pick of the week is the Philadelphia Eagles Dallas Cowboys over the 50. That's a $350 wager to win 233. And that wraps a Wolf Spread plays up for the week, as my current profit is $693.
Nick T.
All right, so I took hold on a second. Wolf Spread. I took the Dolphins. Okay, so I took the Lions minus 3.5, the Saints minus 5.5, and I actually took the Chargers minus 3. I ended up changing my mind before doing the show.
I've done that before.
It felt too easy. Then I rethought it, and I think that was a bad pick. But
Yeah, I've done that before. I get it.
I feel like we've all been there before, but all right. Did everyone give their Will Spreads picks? Yeah, so I guess we made it to the end of another week of Football Friday. How many weeks are we left
I
here?
also took the Rams plus 7.5.
That's an interesting one too.
After this week, we'll have 3, I think. 3 or 4 weeks to go. I'm pretty sure.
And as we get closer to the end, obviously we will do playoff coverage. We're planning a wild card live stream at some point for one of the games. We do have a stream coming up on December 30th for, what is that, Cowboys-Lions. We're trying to put that one together to watch.
Cowboys, Lions, Monday Night Football.
That's right, Monday Night Football. So we have a lot. So make sure you check in on. Oh, that's right, on Saturday night. So make sure you check in on all our social medias. We will drop all that information. But yeah, that'll do it. For Tom Albano, for Nick DiMartino, for Zain Bando, for Liam Barwick, I'm Nick Morgasen. Johnny Montalbano will be back for week 15, the stretch run. And as we say, we take you all the way through the Super Bowl coverage. So make sure you stay in there with us. And that'll do it. So we will see everybody next week.
Have a good one.